Hey everybody, for grammar today, I'm going to do two things. The first thing, if you can see on my screen here, is I'm just going to go over some possible answers for the exercises you did on exercise 7 and 8. So I said on this one not to follow the instructions of the book, which we'll get into that really quick. And on this one, I said you definitely could and should follow the instructions. The other part that I want to introduce you guys to over here is this exercise 9, which is your assignment for today. We'll talk about how this chart works and just what I want to see, and that should be relatively easy. Okay, it should be, especially after we talk about this. Um, so let's go back to this, especially if you guys have been following along, we know that we're in the noun unit. And with nouns, we've already talked about common and proper. We've talked about things like just regular singular and regular plural. We've also talked about things such as possessive, which we're going to get into again with these, and collective. Okay. To be honest, we are gearing towards reviewing and eventually doing a unit test over nouns, but we really want to dial in on this possessive stuff because I think that's given people the most trouble. So that's why we're going to focus on it again today and maybe a couple more assignments in. But let's just talk about 7 and 8, which you should already have done. And then I'll talk about how 9 is just another example of that. Okay, for exercise 7, what I did say is that you should try to rewrite this in a sentence to where you do not need to use an apostrophe or apostrophe s at all. Okay, so there's a bunch of different ways that you could do this. And I know there's some funky words up in here because it's talking about, skiing and, championships and all that. So we'll just see. But the number one sentence says the Fédération Internationale du Ski is an amateurs organization. You could say something as simpler or as simple as the Fédération Internationale du Ski is an amateur organization, or it's an organization for amateurs. There's a couple interpretations, but as long as you didn't use any kind of apostrophe, hopefully it's pretty good. The World Ski Championships are a skier's goal. You could say skiers try to make it to the World Ski Championships. The World Ski Championships is a goal for skiers, just regular plural. But again, you're trying to get away from using the apostrophe in any way. Okay. Number 3, a committee reviews all entrance applications. A committee reviews all applications. The committee reviews the applicants of the entrance. So there's a bunch of different interpretations of that one. Number 4, it considers skiers' qualifications for the races. Um, it considers the qualifications of skiers for the races. Again, there's a bunch of different ways you could take this as long as you're avoiding the apostrophe. And finally, number 5, the committee's guidelines for amateur status are very strict. The committee has very strict guidelines. The guidelines of the committee are very strict for amateur status. So again, you can chop these sentences up, you can take words out, you can kind of rearrange them. But your whole job was to try to rewrite the sentence in a way that you could avoid using the apostrophe or apostrophe s, but the sentence still making sense. Okay, so that's 7. 8, I said you could do as is. So it says write the possessive form of the noun. So based on the word that is given in parentheses and based on the context of reading it in the sentence, this should be pretty straightforward. So the sport apostrophe s history. Number 2, each person's skis. So person apostrophe s, because again, we're showing possession here. Number 3, skier apostrophe s. So the skier's boots apostrophe s. Many skiers' toe straps came loose. This sentence I don't really love, but it is written in the form of a plural in this case because it says many skiers. So in this case, you could have skiers with S apostrophe, like a bunch of skiers' toe straps came loose. But I know that that one's kind of tricky. Okay, so between 3 and 4, you have a little bit of wiggle room. Number 5, one. So that's obviously singular ownership, singular possession. One historian apostrophe S discoveries. the skis ages. This one's tricky because they're talking about the literal skis, like a archaeological find of skis, like some old pair of skis that they found. So it says the skis ages ranged. So in this case, it is one set of skis, and there are two skis in every set. So on this one, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that if you put skis apostrophe s, that is technically correct. If you just put skis apostrophe, I'm okay with that too, because you can interpret that as both a singular ski or a set of skis. So that one's just kind of a weird sentence. Number 7, in Norway, a soldier's means of travel was skiing. I would say apostrophe s, just because it makes it much easier to interpret this sentence. Number 8, a Norwegian's skis were for both cross country and downhill skiing. Norwegian apostrophe s. The men's cross country speed record was broken by Bill Cook. That name is Cook. Okay, men is obviously a plural form of man, so it's kind of already plural. And if you put apostrophe s, that really seems to be the best choice because it is plural, but it just looks weird if you put men with an s apostrophe, like men's apostrophe. If you did it that way, I'm still okay with it. Um, but really on this one, a lot of times people just put an S and there is no apostrophe. Like if you're in a men's division or a men's tournament or a women's tournament, they usually just make it plural. Like there's more than one man in it. Like it's the men's tournament or the women's tournament. So 9 is kind of crazy too. But 10 is pretty easy. Cooks, that's his last name. So it's apostrophe S. So Cook's average speed was 15.57 miles per hour. Okay. So if you guys were in person at school, I would have told you the same thing, that on several of these there is some wiggle room, there are some variations. But if you looked over these answers and generally speaking you get the hang of it, you should be okay. Which leads me to the assignment for today, which I'm going to attach this to the Google Classroom as well. But on exercise 9, we're going to go ahead and do it as is. It just says copy and complete the chart, this whole chart, and then make sure to add the possessive forms. So this is how this looks. They have given you a singular noun column. They have given you a empty singular possessive column, which you're going to have to fill in. They have given you a plural noun column. And now on this last part, you have to come up with the plural possessive form. So this really is a chart, and number 1 has 4 answers going all the way across. Number 2 is going to have 4 answers going all the way across, all the way down to 5. You're going to have family, an answer, families, and an answer. So you're going to recreate this chart either digitally if you just want to type it into a Google document, or if you literally just want to write it on a piece of paper. But here's what they want you to do. So singular noun woman, change that to singular possessive. Like we've talked about that before, this should just be an apostrophe s situation, but make sure you double check. The plural noun, you are jumping from this original word, and this is the regular plural form of that word. So woman turns into women, so now we have the plural form. Over on plural possessive, now you need to take this plural form and make it plural possessive, okay? So if you guys follow the flow of this chart, it's like singular noun, singular possessive, plural noun, plural possessive, okay? So Miss Smith, all the way through the progression here. Child, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that if you jump ahead, the plural form of child is not child with an S. It's clearly children. So that may change some things. Okay. Senior, seniors, family versus singular possessive form of family versus plural noun families. You guys can see there's some Y situation, there's some IES situation. So it's a little trickier than you may think just by looking at it at the very beginning. Okay. So again, for this exercise 9, which is actually your assignment itself, You want to recreate the chart. You can even include the title so that we know which column we're dealing with. And this essentially is number one has that answer, this missing answer, this answer, and this missing answer with a total of 4 parts. Okay, so there's 4 parts times 5 noun words that they start you with. So that's a total of 20 answers kind of floating around here. Okay, so again, on this exercise 9, just send it to me digitally if you want to email it, or if you want to send it as a Google document of some form, or if you just want to write it on paper like some of y'all have been doing and send it to me as a picture. This is perfectly fine. Okay. Again, over the next couple days, we're going to do some more things with singular, plural, possessive. We're eventually going to do a bit of a review or some review exercises, and then we'll be geared up for an eventual noun unit test. Okay. So hopefully all are getting the hang of this stuff as far as the singular and plural possession goes. And as always, if you have side questions that you want to send me as an email, feel free to do so. But for now, make sure you guys get exercise 9 done, ship it my way, and then we'll keep talking very soon. All right. See ya.